Well, seeing a bit of a cool down for many areas across the Midwest here as we go through the final week of August. And I think that's going to be a welcome reprieve for some folks. What could it mean for the crop development, though, late season and more? Let's talk about things. Joining us now, Eric Snodgrass with Nutrient Ag Solutions as we take a look at what's happening in our weekly weather update. And Eric, good to talk with you again. Big cool down for many folks. I know I'm on my way to the Farm Progress show. It's not every time you go to that show and you hear 70s as the high for the forecast. So, I mean, talk about this cold front that's sweeping through. I think a welcome reprieve for many folks here as we round out the month of August.
Last night I opened the windows in the bedroom. I was like, "Oh, this will be amazing. I can listen to the bugs and the frogs and just kind of serenade myself off to sleep." Until about 2 a.m. when my neighbor's dog apparently got outside and just decided to bark his way through the morning. So there's one weird thing that happened though, Jesse, waking up so early. Um, I started thinking about how well was this forecast, right? And I went back and I looked, and our sub-seasonal weather forecast models predicted this time period we're in right now to be hot, like really hot, and major storms through the Corn Belt. And I'm sitting here going, well, okay, if they're doing that, what's been off? Where have they missed? What is the problem? And can you trust them as we look out here to the fall forecast? So then, because it was so early and the dumb dog was still barking, I kept going. I kept digging, and it was amazing. Remember how dry last fall was? It was extremely dry through the Ohio River Valley, the Mississippi River Valley, the Missouri River Valley. Every model forecast put all of the really dry conditions last fall in the southern plains and into the southwest. And what happened in November? It was super wet. So I'm telling you, I woke up this morning and I have zero trust right now in any sort of a long range forecast. And so where are we? Well, next 10 days, if you're east of the Rocky Mountains, it's cool. We got cooler weather in place. In fact, this morning, I think there were a few places in like the Arrowhead of Minnesota, like that whole very far northern area that got a frost. It was not Red River Valley. It was not North Dakota. It was just that northern pocket of Minnesota that got really cold. And we're going to get temperatures that are going to be, like you said, in the 70s for the Farm Progress show. I wish I was going. I've got to be all over the country at other things this week. There was just other events I'm at. But man, it would have been beautiful. I wish we could have had this cool weather for the state fair season, which just ended. But, beggars can't be choosers. But here's the other thing, Jesse, all of the wet weather's down in the southern plains. I mean, in parts of Kansas, Oklahoma, coming out of Colorado, hitting northern Texas, possibly getting over toward western Tennessee and Arkansas. I've got my fingers crossed on that. We're going to see just tons of rain coming through. And it's going to hit parts of Missouri as well, which is the state in between all the ones I just described. But if we want to get that rain farther to the north, this is not the pattern. It's going to be very dry. Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, and this crop. I mean, every farmer I talk to in that little corridor has told me, I need one more. Just give me one more rain. This thing will finish great. And it doesn't seem that we're going to be getting it. But just thankfully, the temperatures aren't going to be scorching hot.
And that's something, a couple thoughts there. One, you mentioned West Tennessee, Arkansas, some parts of the South. We've had some flash drought really expand here in the last several weeks. But then on top of that, dryness in the I states, throughout the Corn Belt. Does this potentially take the top end off of some of these big yields that are being projected? And that's maybe more of an agronomist question, but it's something I think a lot of folks are thinking about here with this current weather pattern, Eric.
Sure. I mean, if it was 2009, where we had a cool summer with relatively good rains, I would say no, it doesn't matter. But 2025 brought in time periods of heat. The Eastern Corn Belt was 10 days behind on GDDs and then is 10 days ahead now. And that's a lot of heat very quick. So you can just imagine that the crop has been under quite a bit of stress. And so now it's going over drier and it's cooler. Well, you just wonder how it's going to be able to finish in that particular area. By the way, where it's hot, Pacific Northwest. It's extremely hot in Western Canada, and the jet stream's all blocked up because of it. Oh, and by the way, the remnants of Hurricane Aaron are now going over toward Europe, which is going to make parts of Central Europe very, very wet. And we don't have any more tropical activity to talk about in the near term. I know we have Ferdinand out there, but staying out to open ocean, not going to be a major factor. And there is another East Pacific system called Juliet that might come up and bring some of its moisture to Southern California, but they've been needing their monsoonal moisture so that we wouldn't necessarily look at that as a bad thing. So yeah, this is a very interesting time period. I'll be honest with you, Jesse. I think what's going to ultimately determine the way that our fall shapes up is going to be where the MJO goes and how many typhoons curl up toward Japan, work the way up toward like the Bering Sea or North Pacific, and ultimately disrupt the downstream jet stream pattern that would get to us. And until we get there, I will not trust a model beyond 10 to 12 days. I just won't. Until there is something that is overwhelming in the evidence that says, oh, no, 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 you're going this way, then I'm not going to trust it. All I can tell you is that precedent would say that 4 out of the last 5 falls, we've been drier because those 4 falls all had La Nina-like characteristics, and we do have that. But at the same time, every La Nina has a little bit different flavor. And is this the type of La Nina that brings in Mississippi Valley dryness? Or is it the type of La Nina that makes Southeast dryness or Northeast? I don't know. We cannot tell with any sort of certainty. And it's frustrating because people want us to tell them, right? Like, hey, and I'm just telling you right now, predictability is terrible and I don't like it.
Well, we touched on this last week, and now that you mentioned Aaron, are we seeing any follow-up development here in the Atlantic? You know, now that we've gone a week or so, I mean, is there anything showing up this week in the models that maybe you would have a little bit of confidence in, I guess, Eric?
No, there's kind of a lid that's been put back on the Atlantic for a little while. It doesn't mean you can't get anything. It just means it's harder to get big organized systems. And that means we're probably going to be watching for the second half of the season. That's September 15 to November 1. That 45-day stretch will likely be the busiest stretch for the hurricane season. But, you got to wait. You got to wait till we get that over there. And I just don't think we get the full effect of that until the middle of September, late September. By the way, that does bring up an important point. The same thing that I think makes the hurricane season get going again at that point, let's call it the second week of September, there is some evidence of another big plunge of colder air. And I told you, I don't trust it, but I can start to stitch together a couple of things. And so I'm concerned that if that does come through, despite a 50-year long trend of warmer falls, okay, that's the case in the Midwest. We could have these punctuating little day long, this is how longer they last, shots of colder air that just drop in temperatures in the low to mid 30s. So I'm just going to tell you, there's nothing set in stone. Don't leave this conversation, anybody, thinking that, oh, mid-September frost. No, no, no. It's just, I think we're going to get another wave of cooler weather coming through at that time. And that would be climatologically consistent with the northern plains getting their first frost. That's all. It's nothing more than that at this point.
It's that time of year where things change, seasons change, and you just got to be aware of things that could happen when it comes to the weather. Eric, anything else final you're tracking here at home or around the world this week?
I'm just going to say that you're going to see a lot of weather forecast models because they're all looking at it right now, saying South America is going to have an early start to the monsoon. But they were predicting this week was going to be wetter than average. And now that we're into this week and we see the short-term models picking up on it, there's the monsoonal circulation isn't even established yet. So it's drier. So if we did get the green light on a week from now is September 1, right? So if they got the green light to plant early, I don't think they're going to go jumping after it because I don't think the forecasts are going to be reliable enough for them to want to plant into the end of their dry season on the hope of rain. They're probably going to have to wait till the rain starts. I'm guessing they're waiting on 50 millimeters of rainfall. That's about 2 inches. And then they're going to go. But it's not coming early based on what I've seen right now.
I know folks can go to agweather.com, ag-wx.com for more. Eric Snodgrass, Nutrient Ag Solutions. Always appreciate the time with us here on the weekly weather update. Have a great one, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. See you, Jesse.